Hey up guys! So continuing my coverage of the Venice Film Festival, today's movie I'm going to be discussing is the sophomore feature from Booksmart director Olivia Wilde called Don't Worry Darling. This was the big ticket item at this year's festival, guys, not just because of the much hyped pairing of two of the hottest stars on the planet with Florence Pugh and Harry Styles starring as the lead roles, but also because of the drama behind the scenes in production and post-production. I'm not going to go into great detail about all the drama that's occurred behind the scenes, but I have left a link in the video description below if you want a more in-depth coverage of what's gone on. But yeah, it's just been a slew of scandalous incidents, one after the other, from production delays to Shia LaBeouf dropping out and being replaced by Harry Styles to Olivia Wilde and Jason Sudeikis' divorce, and then Harry Styles dating Olivia Wilde, and then supposed beef between Olivia Wilde and her star, Florence Pugh. Heck, just yesterday it was announced that the film's star, Florence Pugh, would not be attending the press conference for this film in Venice, and she's not going to do any press tour for it either. So yeah, much like the film itself, there's definitely some trouble in paradise. But putting aside all that messy drama, at the end of the day, what matters is the movie any good? And I'll say this, I was really looking forward to Don't Worry Darling. I thought Olivia Wilde's first film, Booksmart, was amazing. It was one of my favorite films of 2019. It was one of my favorite films of the previous decade. So I was very excited to see what she was going to do next, especially with a bigger budget and with such star power on board. And I'm going to say this, it's definitely not as good as Booksmart, but I still had a pretty good time watching Don't Worry Darling. I thought it was a beguiling, sexy mix of thriller, mystery, and drama. I had a few issues with it, but overall, I was very intrigued and I was constantly engaged throughout. I don't think the film hits greatness, but it's still an entertaining watch. The plot is set in America during the 1950s and is centered around a young married couple called Alice and Jack, who are played by Pugh and Styles. They are very much in love. They're living this blissful, domesticated American dream lifestyle in this communal suburbia of this mysterious company called Victory, which Jack himself works for as an engineer. In fact, all the men in this community work for Victory, while Alice and the wives all stay at home. They cook, they clean, they take care of the house. It's a time of controlled conservatism, Cadillac cars, and cocktail parties on the cul-de-sac. It's that whole idyllic nuclear family aesthetic of the 1950s. But this utopia isn't everything that it appears to be. Once Alice starts noticing strange occurrences, she goes on a journey down the metaphorical rabbit hole in search of answers. So, what did I like about the film? Well, for starters, this film looks gorgeous. This is one of the best looking movies of 2022. The 1950s aesthetic is immaculate. Katie Byron's production design is exquisite, and it harmonizes so beautifully with Matthew Liebetech's warm, picturesque cinematography. And I love that even though the town of Victory looks gleaming, you can tell there's something sinister about it. It's got this shiny sheen to it, a manufactured glossiness. It's like the characters are living out their lives as if they were dolls safely entombed in pristine plastic packaging. I also think Olivia Wilde's direction was impeccable. It's certainly more ambitious than what she gave us in Booksmart, and I'm glad that she's rose to the challenge. I found some of her sequences to be quite enthralling, from the dance class sequence to Alice's nightmares to the climactic showdown to, of course, the much publicized sex scenes. I think she's done a wonderful job here, and I would definitely like to see more of her directing films like this in the future. I also really love the performances in this. I mean, it goes without saying that Florence Pugh is sensational in this. She was kind of giving me vibes of Dani, her character from Midsommar, in this. Like, I always enjoy watching Florence Pugh playing a character who's unraveling. Like, she is so good when she feels like she's losing her mind. I will admit, I was a little bit nervous for Harry Styles playing Jack. That clip that was going around on Twitter had me worried, but I will say this, once you watch the movie, that clip doesn't seem so bad once you get some context on his character. But I'll say this, overall, I thought he was pretty good in this. Like, nothing to scream about, especially considering he's paired with Florence Pugh for most of the film, and she's like on another level to most actors in general. But he's good enough, and he was a pretty decent tap dancer as well. It'll be interesting to see how this performance compares to his other film that's coming out later this year, My Policeman. I think that's the performance which will clarify if he's a legit triple threat. Chris Pine I thought was terrific. He plays the leader of this suburban community called Frank. Pine brings just the right amount of smarm, mystique, and charisma to the part. And if Florence Pugh is Alice in Wonderland, then he's the Cheshire Cat, because he's got that smarmy grin on his face for a lot of the film. There's actually a fair bit of Alice in Wonderland imagery in this. You've got Alice looking through mirrors into the looking glass. You've got them eating carrots to symbolize chasing the white rabbit. Even Frank's creepy kids were kind of giving me Tweedledee and Tweedledum vibes in their matching outfits. Now let's talk about the negatives. When it comes to the script, I do think the ideas and topics that it's exploring are quite interesting. Alice has this seemingly perfect life, but it's not really authentic. Essentially, the film is asking, what do you want out of life? And how much control would you give up in order to acquire this seemingly perfect existence? I was kind of asking myself that question while I was watching this film, and I love it when I'm internally thinking about the ideas the film presents. So I really did like the foundations of the film. I thought there was some really good ideas in here, but when it comes to the script, I think it was about 80% of the way there, because not all of it clicked into place. I still had some questions when I left, like what was the significance of the plane? Somebody please explain that to me. And some of the dialogue I just found very heavy-handed because they kept repeating it, like there's beauty in control and grace and symmetry. Like it's okay to say it, but you don't need to spell it out for us. I'm like, subtext, try it sometime. Shall we talk about its Oscars chances? I don't really see Don't Worry Darling as being a major player this award season. Just want to remind you guys, Olivia Wilde's first film, Booksmart, got a grand total of 0 Oscar nominations, and that was a far better film than this. However, this film is going to make a lot of money, people will be watching it and discussing it, so I could see it showing up in a few technical categories, like production design for Katie Byron, costumes for Ariane Phillips, or cinematography for Matthew Libatek. Those are the categories where I feel it has the strongest chance. John Powell I could see being in the conversation for his nostalgic jazzy score, but it's not a cert. Kind of like hair and makeup. Like, it's very well done, hair and makeup. It's very on point for the decade that it's in, but it's not the thing that you really notice when you look at this film. I don't think we're gonna see it show up in any of the big categories, best picture, director, acting, or editing. Some of you guys have been asking me, can Harry Styles get a nomination for the song that he wrote for this film? And I'm not sure about that one, because the song is important to the story, but it's only like a few lyrics that get sang. Like it's not a big musical number in the movie, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm not gonna rule it out. It would be interesting to see if he got nominated for Best Song in Don't Worry Darling and managed to squeeze in the Best Actor for My Policeman. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but that'd be an interesting outcome. I don't think that's ever happened before. Someone getting 2 nominations for acting and song for different movies in one year. But what do you guys think? What are Don't Worry Darling's Oscars chances? Is it gonna get some noms? If so, which categories? Let me know in that comment section down below. So let's ask them 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Yes, absolutely. I had a really good time watching Don't Worry Darling. I could happily sit through again. I actually think this is a movie I will buy and add to the collection when I get back home. Question 2, do I recommend it for you guys? I recommend Don't Worry Darling to those who like films like Stepford Wives, The Truman Show, even Black Mirror. There's a little bit of The Matrix in here, and even Get Out. I know it sounds silly, but watch it and you'll see. Also, if you love Florence Pugh, then you're going to love her in this. If you like a good psychological thriller, which looks gorgeous, then yes, this is right up your alley, and I would recommend checking it out. And third question, what score to give it out of 10? I had a blast watching Don't Worry Darling. I do think it's a better directed film than it is written, but I was on the hook, I enjoyed the performances, and it's just an orgasmically good-looking film. So I'm gonna give Don't Worry Darling a score of 7 out of 10. But as always guys, it's just one bloke's opinion. I do wanna hear from you guys. If you've seen Don't Worry Darling, what did you make of this film? Whatever you have to say, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the little thumbs up button. If you want more movie, TV, and Oscars related content, don't forget to click subscribe, and if you want to stay up to date with all my Venice and Toronto Film Festival coverage, be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok. It's all in that video description down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, the Oscars, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Carefield, and I'll see you next time.